is and how we can recognize the consciousness that the soul has. So last time, which was 2 weeks ago, I mentioned this, okay? Atma che, te nitya che, karta che nij karm, che bhokta vari, moksha che, moksha upay sudharam. So basically what that means is, this is Srimad Rajchandra from Atma Siddhi Shastra. The soul exists. It is ever existent. It is a doer of karmas. It is the enjoyer of the fruits of these karmas. There is liberation, and the means of liberation is true religion. Okay, so I touched on this. Now, what I'm going to do for all of you who are planning not to come next week is I'm going to recap from chapter 1 to chapter 25 next week, because there are some of you might have missed, so that is the reason. So last week I was talking, sorry, I'm just pushing on because so I was looking at the fact that we have indriyas, yeah? So we have 5 senses, which are touch, taste, smell, sight and hearing. Yeah, that's Panchendriyani, that's verse 15. And so I then talked about the soul, which is Jeev, and I said there is mundane. Mundane means us lot, okay? And there is liberated. And in the mundane, there is mobile, which are the 2 sense, 3 sense, 4 sense and 5 sense beings, and immobile, which are 1 sense beings. And immobile ma aparne earth beings ave, water beings ave, fire beings ave, air beings ave, and vegetable beings ave. Yeah. Now, here the number of indriyas is mentioned with a view to making it possible to find out on its basis as to how many possible divisions of the worldly soul. Now, you know, one of the questions when I was studying this chapter was, I was asking myself that, yes, this is Jain Dharma, yes, it is important for us to know, but this is not just academic information. The reason why Uma Swami has gone into so much detail here, and why Jain Dharma actually goes into detail here, is because it wants to make you aware that just the way you are a soul, all these other creatures are also a soul. You know, sometimes આપણે કહીએ કે હા બધા આત્મા છે, બધા, you know, everybody is equal, everybody is the same, but we forget in our rush for in daily life કે આપણાથી ક્યાં હિંસા થાય છે. And there are these living beings which also have the desire to fulfill their full potential in whatever way they want to do it. And when you try and curtail or stop them from doing that, then that is hinsa. So, they say the indriyas are 5. Not all worldly souls possess all the 5 indriyas, as we know. Those who possess 1 indriya are designated ek indriya, be indriya, te indriya, chaur indriya, panch indriya, and you know, that is how the 5 divisions are. Then I said that there are 2 types of indriyas. There is dravya indriya and bhav indriya. Okay? Now indriya is sense. Okay? So remember, please keep this in mind. Dravya is your ear, your nose, your tongue, your skin. That is dravya. That is matter. Bhav is a state that is achieved, which is connected with your soul. So for example, when there is a kshayopsham of your karmas, when your karmas subside and you know they sort of remain subsided, then certain things manifest themselves, and that is called bhavindriya, where you actually get this connection with your soul. At this moment, we do not have a connection with our soul. We know we have a soul, but we don't have internal connection with it. So when that kshayopsham happens of your karma, where some of the karmas actually subside and some become destroyed, so that is when some of your qualities of your soul are revealed, and that is called bhav indriya. It is also a form of a sense, because you only understand it through the physical limitations of your body, yeah, your mind, your feeling, whatever. So that is why it is called bhavindriya. And that inanimate indriya is, which is made up of physical particles, is the dravya type, and the indriya of the form of a transitory spiritual state is a bhav type. Then it says was that it talked about nivritti and upkaran. So nivritti is the actual external organ. So for example, the ear. Upkaran is the inside bit of your organ. So for example, you might have bones in your eardrum, the three bones which all bang to create a sound. All of that, the tongue with its own senses which allows you to taste, the skin with its own internal senses which allows you to feel, all of that. That is called upkaran. So that is why the reason why we need to understand is how these indriyas work and how do we use our indriyas for our own spiritual progress. So the bhav indriya, which is this temporary, as I said, shayopsham of your karma, your karmas have subsided, and how you connect with your soul is of two types. There is labdhi and upyog. Okay. Now Vinod Bhai talked about upyog in great length, and as I said, next week I will recap from 1 to 25, which I hope to finish today. So if you have questions, stop me, please. Do not just sort of look puzzled and absolutely lost and miserable, because I don't want you to be miserable. Labdhi are capabilities or abilities, and these are certain things which manifest themselves, okay, which are innate in us. But as I said, when shayopsham happens, certain things manifest themselves. So there is a combination of labdhi and upyog as well. Now upyog is a consciousness. All souls have upyog. Whether you are the tiniest of amoeba or whether you are a human being with all its senses, all souls have this ability to experience consciousness. Okay? Apart from, anant gnan, anant vidya, anant darshan. So this is what upyog is. So kshayapsham of karmas like mati gnana vanya karma, which is a transitory spiritual state, is labdhi indriya. So again, as I said, when apna gnana vanya karma no kshayapsham thai, which means the knowledge bit of our karmas, then we start understanding what we are as human beings, what our soul is like, how we can use our senses to move forward spiritually. So, labdhi, nivritti and upkaran, when the three combined, is upyog. So, labdhi is the capacity or capabilities or these things which manifest, these extra sensory things which manifest in us when our karma subside. That is one. Nivrittis are actually our senses, the physical formation of our senses, and upkaran are the inside. So, when the three combined, that is when you realize consciousness, or you realize what you are as a person, that you are not a body, you are a soul. That realization will come. Even if it is only temporarily, if it's only for a transitory period, you will feel that consciousness. So this was a horrible thing, but I just brought it up. So there is sense, there is dravendriya and bhavendriya. And dravendriya is upkaran and nivritti, which is external and internal, and then bhavendriya is labdhi and upyog. And then we have the sense organ. So we have the physical sense and the psychical sense. The physical sense of the organ is the organic structure and the material efficiency of the organ, and it is internal and external. For example, ears, eyes, nose, skin, tongue. And psychical sense is attainment, which is the labdhi I'm talking about, and the conscious effort or the consciousness that we actually realize that we have this consciousness within us. So each sense has knowledge of its own subject matter, but it is the soul which has the knowledge of subject matters of all the five senses. So remember, when our senses work, they work when you hear, you only hear and nothing else functions. For example, if somebody is making, I don't know, some sort of a sweet, okay, a dessert. What is your favorite dessert? Go on, say something. Monthar, okay? Does everybody know what monthar is? Yes. Yeah. So when you are making monthar, or when monthar is being made, obviously you hear the utensils, then you get the smell of the sugar and whatever, the syrup being done and all the spices, tripod and whatever else put in. And then you actually physically see it being set in a tray, and then after a little while, once it sort of chambered properly, you cut it and you have a taste of it. Now, from when you hear it, you are already tasting it in your mouth. But the hearing sense is taking priority. At the same time, there is also the sense of smell, which is also taking, but again, the hearing takes priority. Again, when you are smelling it, when the actual thing is cooking, then the smell takes priority and everything else subsides. But they are all working simultaneously. All your senses work simultaneously. But the person or the consciousness which is within you, because this is, remember, a physical sense that you have, which is what we are using to understand Monthar, you can only experience the full pleasure of it once you know that, okay, all these five senses are getting together, and then you enjoy it. Yeah? Now, that is a very superficial enjoyment in the sense that it is to do totally with your senses and how your mind is. It has got nothing to do with the soul. But imagine that further, that if, for example, you reach a state, which is a spiritual state, where you are elevated and some of your karmas subside, and you realize that this major light bulb which is inside you is so full of power, even for the split second, you realize there's consciousness within you, and that consciousness is everywhere, and you actually feel that within you. So this is what happens, that it is a soul which has the knowledge of the subject matters of all the five senses, because the soul is the one which finally actually animates and makes you think that, okay, I enjoyed this, I liked this, I didn't like it. Yeah. Any questions? You're clear? Okay. The ever-existing soul is always separate from all states or conditions. Manifest consciousness, upyog, is its permanent characteristic. Okay? So, we said upyog takes place in relation to tangible objects, that is, a physical organ is a necessary requisite of the senses as a capacity to perceive or touch. Is that clear? Why? Why is it clear? Explain that verse to me.
It's just saying that you need to have an organ in order to...
Absolutely, because we are in the Manusya state. We are bound in this body. We need the organs in order to understand our environment in relation to tangible objects. We need the organs in order to make a decision as to what is right and what is wrong for us. Yeah? Sparshana, rasana, grana, chakshu, shrotrani. The five senses are skin, tongue, nose, ear, eye and ear. Okay? Now, remember, so the question here is that the skin is not a sense. It's the feeling that the skin develops is a sense. So the tactile, which is touch, gustatory, which is a tongue, olfactory, which is a smell, visual, which is the eye, and auditory, which is hearing. Here the sense refers to the body organs, example, the eyes for sight, the tongue for taste, etc. And then of course 21 says the objects of the senses are respectively touch, taste, smell, color and sound. So these are the use to which we put the five senses too. Yeah, is everybody clear? It's very clear. So this is a sort of a cartoon character, and Vinod Bhai actually demonstrated it very well when he says, you look at your face and you say, okay, I don't know, he put his hand and he said, can't touch, taste, I don't know, he passed the chin.
Touch, taste, nose, eyes and ears.
Yeah, so he went that way, yeah. So, Shuddha Mana Indriyasya, okay? Spiritual knowledge or Shuddha Gnan is the province of the Manas, okay? Now, my question, ignore the word Manas. my question is why? So I just explained to you that the sense organs can work simultaneously yet in separate ways, and the only intellect and only the intellect makes a differentiation. So manas is your intellect. Okay, now according to Jain Dharma, manas is present everywhere in your body. It is not confined to our mind in our head. It is everywhere. Okay. So besides the five organs, there is one more called manas, or the processing mind. Okay. Now it says mind. I use mind because that was the loosest translation, or the clearest translation I could think of in English. This is not external but internal. The external organs grasp form, color, smell, etc. in part, but it is the manas which grasps the combination of these and reflects upon it depending on the level of development. Now this is very critical. Depending on your spiritual level, you reflect upon it. So for example, if you hear Thai Maharaj speaking on Kalpa Sutra, okay, if you are of a certain development, you reflect on what she has said, you apply to yourselves, and you make a decision, okay, this is something I need to apply to my daily life. Yeah? Which is why we are here on this earth. We are not here to eat, drink, and procreate. That is not our purpose in life. Our purpose in life is to actually develop ourselves spiritually. And the only way you can do that is if you are able to grasp all of this and actually meditate upon it, or contemplate on it. This constitutes Shruta Gnan. So Shruta Gnan is the Gnan which is found from scriptures, okay, or Gnan which is to do with religious words that have been said by a spiritual person, which you listen to, books that you read, you attend Jain classes. That is all Shruta Gnan. Shruta Gnan is the only Gnan which the mind is able to process. Mati Gnan also takes place. So Mati Gnan is what? Mati Gnan is the Gnan which we obtained from the senses. Is everybody clear? That is what Mati Gnan is. You obtain that knowledge from the senses. Shruta Gnan you also obtain from the senses as well. But in your own body or in your own manas, you process the Shruta Gnan and the Mati Gnan together. But the Shruta Gnan takes priority in the sense that you actually contemplate on the religious words that some saint has said, Rakesh Pai or Thai Maharaj or whoever. And you contemplate on it, and then you think that, now hang on, this makes sense. This is what I need to do in my life because I want to move forward spiritually. Yeah. So this is where manas gets involved, and it is also called a sense, but it is called anindriya sense, in the sense that it is not a physical organ, but it is something which helps you make this whole bits of information that you are getting into one whole thing, which you then utilize it, and then you use it, and if your karmas subside because of that, then obviously upyog makes its presence felt through labdhi. You develop this extra powers, and you get this thing subsided, and you actually then understand that you are a soul and not a body. It's very interesting because so this is what script number 22. Are you very clear about this?
Is manas like the nervous system?
No, it's not like the nervous system. It's not something which you can physically dissect under a microscope, or something you can see. According to Jain Dharma, it's this whole ability to process information, but it is not just processing information. It is processing the information for your own spiritual progress. That's what it is. So for example, I'll give you an example. For example, tamne ko ke atma che, atma nitya che, okay? Now, because you've been coming to Jain classes, you will say, yeah, atma nitya che. You take it, you accept it. But in your mind, you need to process it to the extent that it actually makes you appreciate. So, apne kahe ne vishwas or apne kahe shraddha. Where does Shraddha come from? Shraddha is a form of, is a processing of manas, okay, which tells you, which gives you faith કે તમે દેરાસરમાં જાઓ અને ભગવાનની પ્રતિમા જે હોય તો તમે એની સામે નમન કરો અને તમને એમ થાય કે ના મારે તમારા જેવું થાવું છે. That શ્રદ્ધા કે હા મહાવીર સ્વામી actually હતા, મહાવીર સ્વામી આ બધું કહી ગયા છે. મહાવીર સ્વામીએ આખા આપણા સ્ક્રિપ્ચર્સ લખેલા છે અને this is something that I want to follow, I want to do. That Shraddha, nobody is holding a gun to your head, nobody is forcing you, nobody is telling you કે તમે આ નહીં કરો કે તમે આ કરો. You are doing it out of your own volition, and that Shraddha or that faith is nothing to do with the mind. Initially it is to do with the mind, because initially તમારા parents તમને કહે કે તમે જાઓ તો તમને થાય હા હશે કંઈક બરાબર, let me go. But after some time, especially after coming to SCVP classes or any Jain classes, if you've been listening to a lot of Jain leaders and whatever, then at some stage you have to, the Shraddha becomes such an innate part of yourself. Okay? For you, it matters. For me, Thai Maharaj matters. For me, she is like my living guru. And then you question, but you do not, then at some stage your questioning has to cease and you have to then carry on with your faith. You can't prove, I can't prove to you that Atma che. I can only infer it by using certain, that means Atma che. But Atma itself cannot be seen. Similarly, manas is this whole thing which pervades in you, which cannot be seen, but it works together with your five senses for your spiritual progress. And that is why they mention Shuddha Gnan, because Shuddha Gnan is knowledge which is a positive, scriptural, religious knowledge. Shuddha Gnan, આપણે books તો ઘણી બધી વાંચે, magazines ઘણા બધા વાંચે. A lot of that is just information and knowledge that you get for living in this world. Shuddha Gnan is the knowledge which will help you to live in all the worlds, all the forms of તમારો આત્મા જેટલી ફેરે birth લે, Shuddha Gnan helps you. Are you clear? Okay.
Still working.
Can I just give a simple analogy the way I
Yeah, please give, and thank you.
Well, I could be wrong completely, but this is my understanding from what you're saying about how the external senses and the manas relates. In my mind, the way I'm looking at it is like looking at computer. The keyboard is the external senses, and the processing inside the software is the manas. Is that correct?
Yeah. Except that in this case, the processing we can't see. It's just there. It's
Same as
functioning.
software, right? You can't see. I mean, this very loosely is like something trying to understand in simple terms. So keyboard is like input. That's what you're inputting with all your senses, and the software is something you can't see behind the scene. That's processing what you're inputting.
Yeah. Yeah. So up to the end of vegetation being, which is આપણે કહીને વનસ્પતિ કાય, they all possess one sense, which is the sense of touch. Okay, so all these આપણે કહી અગ્નિકાય, વાયુકાય, વનસ્પતિકાય, all of these beings, these five beings, one sense beings, they only possess the sense of touch. Then krami, piplika, brahmana, manusya, dinamay, makaika, vradhani, which is insects, the ant, bee and man, etc., have each one more sense than the preceding one. For example, 1 plus 1, 1 plus 2, 1 plus 3, 1 plus 4 indriyas. All five beings possess the bhav type of indriya, but as this requires, so now this I'm going to explain to you just now. So what it means is that, for example, the ant will possess the sense of touch plus the sense of eating, okay, the sense of taste. And that is how the indriyas work. So we as humans possess all the five indriyas. Okay? Now, all five beings possess the bhav type of indriya. So all five beings have bhav indriya. What did we say? What was bhav indriya?
Thinking power.
It is this psychical sense which you have within you, which tells you that I am a soul, which is the upyog, the consciousness part, and also the labdhi, which is the capacity to transform yourself, okay, or the capabilities. All jeeves have bhavindriya, which is why આપણામાં કહે કે આપણે કહે amoeba તો amoeba છે. How does it know? Even amoeba has bhavindriya. It has the capacity to live its life to its fulfillment. It has the capacity to transform itself. Because the question then arises, and it used to arise a lot in Kenya when I used to teach children, okay? How do amoebas then become better, karma khapave, so that they maybe are born as cats and dogs, and then those also karma khapave, then they are born as humans. How do they do that? Because આપણામાં એમ કહે છે ને કે only through human birth is moksha possible. So how do these things actually transform or improve their lives in order to get to the stage where they are born as humans? અને આપણી જૈન, if you look at ભગવાનની બધી જીવન ચારિત્ર, there are a lot of animals have actually been instrumental in helping ભગવાન. You know, પાર્શ્વનાથ ઉપર જ્યારે આટલા બધા આવ્યા હતા, when Kamath did all these horrible things to him, it was the snake which covered him with the hood. Yeah. So these are Chand Kaushik. Why is Mahavir Swami giving a lecture to Chand Kaushik? He's a snake. But because he knew that a snake there is this capacity to transform itself. એટલે for example, when you see any jeev suffering, આપણે ઘણી ફેરે you see birds who are injured, or you see so many things, we always recite Navkar mantra. Why do we do that? Because we want કે એ લોકોના જે અંદર ભાવ ઇન્દ્રિય હશે, they will understand Navkar mantra, અને એ સાંભળીને એ લોકોની ગતિ સારી થાય. That means they are born as maybe a better, a superior species. Yeah, that is why this thing is so. So the five sensed beings are heavenly beings, hellish beings, humans, and animals. Those are the five sensed beings. Okay. The five sensed beings with mind, which is capacity to perceive and judge the good and the bad, are called Sangni, because they have that ability to distinguish between what is and good. So that is called common, well, not common sense, it's more than common sense, but that's what it is. Amongst the five sense beings, some have minds while others do not. The hellish and heavenly beings all have manas, but in the last, only those born from a womb have manas. Okay? So what that means is that only those who are born from a womb have manas. Okay? Those who actually just, like heavenly beings and hellish beings just appear. They are not born of a womb. Okay? Similarly, there are also creatures who are also born where there is a coagulation of cells which combine together. For example, if you are born from an egg outside, or sometimes you are born by combination of different matter, and then you are born. That those do not have manas. Only the people who are born from a womb have manas. That is what I meant, was not by an external egg or combination of cell masses. That is not being born of a womb. Okay? So five sense beings, some have minds, others do not. Okay? So, we talk about that certain animals do not have a mind. Mind means manas here. What I mean by mind is loosely manas, okay? Those having a mind are called Sangni Panchindriya. This allows one to reflect on merits and demerits of things to get what is beneficial and avoid harm, including remembering past births. Yeah? Are you clear with this? Completely clear. Okay, so the five sense beings have mind, their ability to judge good and bad, they are called Sangni. Asangni are the beings who cannot judge good and bad. They do not have the capacity to distinguish between what is good and bad. They can survive. So for example, the question I was hoping for you to come is, animals also are able to decide what is good or bad for. Here, good and bad reflects or refers to your spiritual good and bad, not your survival good and bad. We all survive. All living beings will survive. If they are given the ability to survive, they all wish to survive. They all wish to fulfill their fullest potential. But only the beings who are Sangni beings are able to decide that mare aa rasto pakadvo chhe because I want to purify my soul and I want to move further spiritually.
So how does Chandrakaushik, after he like Maruswami told him, when he actually actively decided not to bite people and all that, so which category would he fall in? Because he used his mind to think, right, that I don't want to be bited.
Yeah, so he contemplated. So he was Sangni. Yeah.
So even though he was not 5 sense being, he was still Sangni.
Yeah, but ઘણી ફેર આમાં શું થાય કે it also depends on your spiritual development as well as a person. So you will as a soul. So what happens is especially when you are already a good soul, you've done amazing spiritual deeds, but because you've done certain karmas, you have to take that birth. Your soul is already alert, it's already aware. So your karmas are there, but as soon as Mahavir Swami એને સંભળાયું, એના karmas શાંત થવા માંડ્યા. You see, when he stung Mahavir Swami, of course એના karmas were inundated because growth હતો અને ego હતો and all of that came into fruition. But when he heard Mahavir Swami, his karmas subsided. They didn't disappear, they subsided. Okay? In that process, while he was listening, he એનામાં ઉપયોગ ને બધું, as I said, if you look at the previous slide, they all had a bhav type of indriya. Okay, so એનો ઉપયોગ અને એની લબ્ધિ ત્યારે ઉપર આવી. That means he could actually realize, okay, my gosh, this is what I am. Now, ઘણી ફેરે what happens is કે there is something which is called Jati Smaran Gnan. So when you remember your past lives, it is called Jati Smaran Gnan. That means you realize, oh my God, I was this. So at that stage, when his karma subsided, he probably realized, okay, I was this and now I am this, and what has become of me? And therefore, he made that decision that no matter what happens, I will not bite. It can happen. But majority of us, because a majority of the living beings, because they do not have a mind, they are asangni. But that does not mean કે લોકોમાં ભાવ type of ઓલું નથી ઇન્દ્રિય. So they can be, and that is why they spiritually progress.
So okay. Sandipbhai, so going back to the question, animals, and where do they fall?
So animals would fall probably in the asangni panchindriya.
I think the confusion here, at least for me, is that 5 sense beings, because in animals you normally don't classify as 5 sense.
Yeah.
So
No, animals are 5 sense. Yeah. Wait, I'll come to that chart just now. Hold on. Hang there. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about was paryapti. Okay, this is something for you, very important for you to know. Paryapti means a special power through which Jeev takes in matter. So what happens is when a child or a baby is conceived, within 45 minutes of the conception, when the sperm and egg combine, this whole process of paryapti happens. So there are 6 types of paryaptis. So it takes in matter like pulgal and it starts converting into different kinds of energy. So there is ahar, sharir, indriya, shwasoswas, bhasha and man. Okay? All these things start happening within 45 minutes of conception. Okay? Now, as soon as that happens, as soon as the egg is fertilized, all these processes start. So it starts absorbing food in order for the cells to multiply. It starts forming a small body, it starts developing certain senses, maybe not fully developed, but partly developed. It also starts developing the sense of respiration. Now, respiration could be through the skin, not necessarily through the nose, because at that time it would be fluid. And bhasha as well. Bhasha means it is developing its sense of speech, okay? And it is also developing a sense of mind. All of this starts happening, and of course it keeps on developing and developing. But this whole process starts within 45 minutes of conception. Yeah. And depending upon the development of the jiva, there are 10 kinds of pranas or vitalities present in each jiva. Each soul so they have sparshindriya, which is touch, rasindriya, taste, granindriya, smell, chakshundriya, vision, shravanindriya, hearing, manobhar, which is the mind, vachan, which is the speech, kayabhar, which is the body, shwasha, which is respiration, and ayushya, which is longevity. Okay? So these are the vitalities which all beings possess. Yeah? All souls. As soon as they take a form, a body, these are the 10 vitalities. So આપણામાં કઈ નહીં કે આપણે ગમે તે આપણે if you remember કે મારાથી જે જીવ કોઈને હણ્યો હોય, હણાવ્યો હોય, હણતા પ્રત્યે અનુમોદ્યો હોય, તે સવિને મન વચન કાયા કરી વિચારે દુભ્રમ. That means આપણે એ લોકોને ગમે તે રીતે આ vitalities એકે ડિસ્ટર્બ થાય, આપણી હિંસા થઈ. So, the number of paryaptis and pranas in various jivas. So, ekindriya, those having one sense have 4 paryaptis. As I said, 4 paryaptis are 1, 2, 3, 4. Shwasoswas indriya, which is senses, sharir and ahara. Okay? And they have 4 pranas. Pranas is sparsh, ras, ghran and chakshu. Okay? No, they will not have all of these. They will have maybe kayabhar, they will have shwasoswas, they will have ayushya, all of those they will have. So the 2 indriyas are those having 2 senses, have 5 paryaptis, 6 pranas. The indriya will have 3 senses, which will be 5, 7. And every રીતે asangni panchindriya, those having 5 senses without a mind will not have a mind. And Sangni Panchindriya, those having 5 senses with a mind, obviously have all the full vitalities. So finally, a dream of million years ends soon. When one awakes, so self-knowledge, when shines, goes off one's self-delusion. Of time eternal, it's not strange. From times immemorial, the embodied soul wrongly believes and acts as if he is a body and not the self. He identifies himself with the activities of the body, not knowing the nature of the self in him. But the moment he receives the absolute knowledge of the nature of the self, all his past mistakes and shortcomings are removed like a removal of a long dream by returning to wakefulness. The dawn of absolute knowledge in the soul destroys in a wink all his ignorance of endless past. This is called Jati Smaran Jnana. Okay? When you realize tamari self, when you realize કે તમે આત્મા છો, તમે શરીર નથી, when you realize કે જેમ તમે આત્મા છો ને તમે શરીર નથી, એમ બીજા જીવો પણ આત્મા છે ને શરીર નથી, તો તમને ખ્યાલ આવશે કે જેટલું તમને હક છે જીવન જીવવાનું, એટલું એ લોકોને હક છે. And therefore you will refrain and you will realize that you are all together in this journey called life. Yeah, and this is where I end, I think. Now, there was one slide that I wanted to show you. I don't know what that is. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I don't know where I put that slide. So yeah, I wanted to talk to you about this Opshamik, Shayopshamik, Shaik, Daic and Parinamic, okay? So I keep on saying Shayopshamik and Opshamik. Is everybody clear about what I mean? So Opshamik bhav of the soul, this is the mode of the soul when the karmas are in subsidence. Shaik is where the karmas have been destroyed. Shayopshamik is a mixture of both of those two. So that is where part of the karmas are destroyed and part of them are in subsidence. Odai is the uday or manifestation of karmas. And a parinamic this is the transformation of soul which happens naturally. Okay? So these are the classifications of the soul. It is this type of bhav that constitute the nature of the soul, that is to say whether a soul be worldly or emancipated. Its modes are characterized by one of these 5 types of bhav, and all the emancipated souls are possessed of just 2 types, Saik and Parinamic. Okay? So are you clear with this? These definitions? So basically I've taken this image of a glass of clear water. So for example, if you have karmas in Uday, then that is the first class. But when some of them subside, some of them subside, but some are still in. Some of them subside, some get destroyed. Then your glass gradually becomes clearer, clearer, clearer until it becomes clear water. Okay, so this is the whole process of transformation, and yeah, so this was the bit where we talked about the 2, 3, 4 and 5 sense beings, and then the various earth beings, fire beings, water beings and vegetable beings. Yeah, that was it. Okay, any questions? This was the end for my class. So next week I'll start from the beginning and go through it again. Is that what you would like to do? Yeah? Because there was somebody who asked me, I think it was you, who said, can you do it in a chart form? So I've been sitting there doing these flow charts. Okay, any questions? You're all experts in chapter 2 up to 2.25. Yeah. Shall we say the Manglik?
Shranam Bhavachami